2022 is proving to be a huge resurgence of new roller coaster additions since the COVID-19 delays and lockdowns. And while I have a separate video talking about the best new coaster additions for this season, there's also a whole bunch that have been confirmed for next year. While a more complete ranking video will come later down the line, I wanted to run over some of the confirmed 2023 coaster installations since many of them have gone under the radar. This video will highlight any new rides that we know of thus far, but I expect many more to be announced and discovered in the future. Real quick, before we dive in, be sure to like this video and subscribe, as well as turn on post notifications so that you don't miss any of my future content. With that being said, let's start things off in the United States. Currently, we only know of a couple US installations coming in 2023, as the parks here tend to hold off on their announcements until late in the previous season. But there are still a few that are worth talking about. First and foremost, Codaland down in Austin, Texas has shocked the community by announcing a second thrill coaster within just 2 seasons. This up-and-coming park will be debuting Circuit Breaker, which will be the first next-generation Vekoma thrill coaster coming to the US. This rare tilt coaster design is a newer revised model from the manufacturer's portfolio. It'll feature the company's smooth and sleek track design, as well as a far more interesting layout after the tilt section than its predecessors. For those of you wondering what a tilt coaster is, it's complicated, but it works like this. Riders are taken to a straight section upon the lift hill at the ride's max height. Then they are locked in place and the track begins to rotate 90 degrees beneath you. After connecting with the rest of the track making up the drop sequence, the train is released, which creates a whole lot of suspense. What follows the tilt section is what I'm personally most interested in with this ride. We've got a non-inverting loop of some kind, a fast-paced roll, and a hang time-filled Immelman. Then there's a bunch of twisty airtime hills that Vekoma is known for. By no means will this be a very long ride, but I'm ecstatic that we're finally seeing Vekoma return to the United States. Next up, I want to talk about a ride that's been delayed time and time again. Primordial at Lagoon, which is due for a name change, will be a very complicated dark ride roller coaster hybrid. Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, construction was stalled like every other project, but this one didn't start back up for a while. It's now set that the ride is set for an opening date of either 2023 or 2024. It should be somewhat similar to Wonder Mountain's Guardian at Canada's Wonderland, but on a larger scale. I'd absolutely expect a drop track and various other surprises thrown into the layout. Next up, I want to talk about the Seaworld Entertainment chain, who are going full steam ahead with new ride additions despite all the troubles that they've had throughout the pandemic. Their most anticipated 2023 coaster, and the only one that's been entirely confirmed to be honest, is Project Penguin at Seaworld Orlando. This will be Bolliger and Mabillard's first surf coaster model, which makes this new ride so interesting. The park and manufacturer have done a great job covering up all the specifics, which is why we don't know what this ride will be like. But we do know that you'll be above the track and that there will likely be 1 or 2 graceful inversions. At SeaWorld San Diego, which is my home park, we're looking at the postponed Intimate Family launch coaster. Originally, this Wild Arctic Simulator replacement was said to have 4 launches, but plans have since changed. Now it'll just have the 3, but these adjustments may not make the ride experience worse at all. It'll hover at around 30 feet max, which isn't a lot, but interestingly, the speed should be about the same as Wavebreaker the Rescue Coaster at SeaWorld San Antonio. I make this 44 mph comparison because these 2 rides should be quite similar to one another. The main difference is Wavebreaker gets up to 61 feet tall. The lower height in this case might be a good thing because it'll allow the coaster to have low to the ground elements with faster pacing. We already know of 2 90-degree turns that they're planning to include, which would be the first elements of its kind to be featured on this popular ride model. Lastly, for the US, Project Dark Coaster will be a new addition to Busch Gardens Williamsburg in Virginia. For those of you wondering what happened with the Dragon Spire concept, that should still be happening at a later date since the park extended the height waiver recently, but for now I think they want to focus on a pre-existing building to take the space of, which is an absolutely fantastic idea. Funny enough, this ride is expected to be the same exact model and manufacturer as SeaWorld San Diego's new 2023 roller coaster. A tame Intamin motorbike coaster should fill the dormant building that was once occupied by Curse of the Dark Castle Dark Ride. While this does limit it to a very low height, we know the ride will be interesting because of a switch track feature that'll allow the train to traverse the layout 2 separate times. I would definitely expect this addition to be the tamest as well as the least notable of the 3 SeaWorld parks because SeaWorld has recently been straying away from theming, but nevertheless it adds a new family coaster to this ever-growing theme park. Overseas, I want to start by talking about Tautis at Parc Astrix in France. For those of you who are familiar, this project has been delayed many years. It was originally supposed to open in 2021, but things happened and now we're looking at a 2023 opening date. Now that track has gone vertical and a good portion of the layout is complete, I think I'm pretty confident that we'll be getting on this next season. The ride will be an Intamin launch coaster very much in the style of Pantheon at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. It'll have that same swing launch and top hat with a handful of other similar elements, but everything else featured on this ride relative to Pantheon is even wilder. Judging by how much I loved Pantheon, there's no doubt in my mind that this will be a potential best launch coaster in the world. It'll easily be the best ride at this park and the best roller coaster in the country of France. A more toned down edition is coming to Liseberg in Gothenburg, Sweden. Luna will be a Vekoma family boomerang coaster, but a larger than usual installation at 110 feet. This will be part of the new 2022-2023 themed area called Luna Park. It isn't anything too special in the grand scheme of things, as we've seen many family boomerangs hit the parks in recent seasons, but I think this will be a great addition to Liseberg as the park really doesn't have a true family coaster. Over at the new Fantasy Valley theme park in China, there should be a new G PCI wooden roller coaster debuting there in 2023. This will be a clone of American Thunder at Six Flags St. Louis and Thunderbird at Powerland in Finland. Having ridden the former, I found American Thunder to be a rock-solid wood coaster with plenty of airtime moments. This is sure to be a great complement to the park's brand new B&M wing coaster that opened this year. Up next is a ride that we really don't know much about. Wiener Prater in Vienna, Austria should be getting their newest and baddest roller coaster next season, but it is unknown what it could be. Rumors suggest that it might be a Mach Rides Big Dipper, which is ironically the next edition we're also going to be talking about. Wiener Prater is not the only park planning to get a Big Dipper soon, it also is going to be the case at Europa Park in Germany. This time, it's absolutely confirmed. The name is set to be Voltron, and the ride will have an electricity theme. This will be the first Mach Big Dipper to feature launches and dark ride sections. It'll also introduce larger four-row trains to accommodate the bigger crowds at this popular German theme park. Genting Skyworlds in Malaysia is a new theme park that opened just this year, and it looks absolutely fantastic. The only two rides that have not opened with the park is a dual power coaster by Dynamic Attractions opening this season, and an SFX coaster by Dynamic Attractions opening next year. The latter is being held off because of its sheer complexity. It's expected to be very similar to Mission Ferrari at Ferrari World in the Emirates, but that still doesn't help us much since that ride has been delayed like 5 seasons. Basically, the SFX coaster will be capable of all sorts of crazy track elements, whether it's a drop track, tilt track, whatever else they've managed to put in there. It should be the ultimate storytelling coaster, but will also have a corkscrew inversion balancing out the thrills and family. Unfortunately, that's all we know about this new ride so far, and hopefully it doesn't have the same fate and delays that Mission Ferrari has. Now, our next ride is the third Intamin family launch coaster in this video. I guess its popularity is really showing. This time it'll be going to Fuji-Q Highland in Yamanashi, Japan. The park has done a great job keeping this project under wraps, but we do know one thing that's a really big deal with this project. At 4.5 billion yen, or 34 million US dollars, this will be the most expensive addition the park has ever made. How they managed to make a ride like this expensive is beyond me, but it means that there must be some crazy surprises that we don't know about yet. Next up, Seaworld Abu Dhabi is a new park in the United Arab Emirates that'll be a joint partnership between Seaworld and Farah Experiences. For those of you who are unfamiliar, Farah Experiences owns and operates Ferrari World, Warner Brothers Movie World, and Yas Water World, all just a few miles away from this new theme park. Now, I originally included this in a ranking video highlighting the best 2022 coasters, but apparently that day was a misinterpretation and it's actually set to debut in 2023. The park's signature attraction will be an Intamin Blitz coaster, probably at a similar thrill to Cheetah Hunt at Busch Gardens Tampa or a Steel Dolphin at Shanghai Haicheng Ocean Park. To my knowledge, the layout has actually been complete for quite some time, but someone please correct me if I'm wrong on that. The photos available so far aren't close enough to depict individual elements, but the ride looks great and it'll be a welcome addition to the United Arab Emirates. A highly anticipated new coaster for next year will be coming to Energylandia in Poland and will be the park's 20th roller coaster in just 8 years. What an accomplishment. Even if most of their coasters are pretty tame, 20 coasters is 20 coasters, and that's no small feat. Their milestone attraction will be a Vekoma tilt coaster, similar but larger than Circuit Breaker at Codaland, which we talked about at the beginning. This ride will feature, quote, a twisted vertical drop, a reversing camelback, an upward 0G roll, a triple down, and a twisted camelback. This will easily be one of the best new coasters to open next season. A ride that we don't know a whole lot about is coming to Parque Warner Madrid for their 20th anniversary. Sources have recently spotted Intamin track on site, and it seems to me like Intamin launch coaster track like Pantheon at Busch Gardens Williamsburg or Tutautas at Parc Astrix. If this ends up being a Blitz coaster, that would be a huge deal since this park hasn't received a new roller coaster since 2009 and a new thrill coaster since 2002. If over 20 years later the park is finally seeing a new best coaster, then it'll be worth the wait. The last new rides I wanted to feature in this video are rather unknown, and the progress isn't really documented as much since it's so far away. But a couple parks in China owned by the Fanta Wild Company will be adding new Vekoma thrill coasters to their parks. First, a new Hyperspace Warp will be added to Happy Valley Jiangsu, which is a clone of rides like Celestial Gauntlet at Oriental Heritage in China. Secondly, a new Top Gun coaster will be added to Fanta Wild Jiangdong, which is a model that we just saw debut last year across the Fanta Wild parks in China. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys in today's video. Those are the various new coaster additions that we know of coming in 2023. I'll be sure to make an updated countdown once it seems like all the announcements have been made, but until then, I hope you all enjoyed this filler video. I really thought it would be a lot of fun to make since a lot of these are just not getting enough recognition. I'm just as excited for many of these rides to open as I am some of the coasters opening this year. Hopefully all of you learned something and could get out to riding these coasters next season. If you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate it if you could like this video and subscribe, as there will be a lot more content like this coming in the future. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon. Bye guys.